Okay, well, I think we're ready, and this is very exciting. I'm very excited. Um, I haven't done a big webinar like this before, so I'm always learning something, and we're always learning something, aren't we? It's lovely to be with you, even though you're in a virtual land. I've heard that there's lots of people joining us, and I've seen some very familiar names, and I'm very happy, but I wish I could see you. I can't see you, so it's a shame. So hello to everybody. I've also been told that there's so many people attending this webinar that I probably won't be able to write and chat and do my presentation at the same time. So please, will you forgive me? Very difficult with over 5,000 people have applied. I don't know how many people will be there, but there's no way I can write to all those people at the same time. So please forgive me. Right. So are you ready? Shall we begin? Right. This is a new experience for me too. Okay. So we're going to be talking about developing speaking skills for primary learners. And I mean sort of second grade-ish to about 8th grade maximum. So let's see what we're going to be talking about today. All right. I've said the speaking skill, but the speaking skill is different in that you don't alone in a bubble, in a vacuum. In fact, you don't have any of the skills, the 4 skills, in a vacuum. It's always associated with another skill. Usually speaking and listening go together, but that doesn't mean it's only speaking and listening. It could be writing something and then speaking about it, or speaking about something and then writing about it, or reading something and then talking about it, or talking about something and then reading up about it. So the skills are never in isolation. Even if you have a speaking class in your school, please don't be worried about including other skills, because you can't really do speaking just by itself. It's not probable. And here's a lovely quotation I like from Mary Lou McCloskey, and she says, if we study listening and speaking and writing, all the 4 skills, while we're doing some kind of communication task, while we're solving a problem, while we're negotiating something and we're completing a task, these skills will develop more naturally, more normally and better if you're just trying to do, let's do speaking today. Try not to say that, because speaking is going to come into everything that we do. Don't you agree? So the first thing, I'm very sorry about this. I do think it's true. First thing we need to do is to decrease the amount of time that we talk. Now, let's face it, we love talking, don't we? I mean, I love talking, and I'm sure you all like talking too. And we're good speakers. Our English is good, and we like to use our English in the classroom. So we like to talk and talk and talk. But what happens when we're doing all the talking? It's only a 40-minute lesson, and we're taking up more than half of the time. First of all, there's no time for the students to speak, for them to practice. So let's decrease the amount of teacher talking time. And here is a lovely quotation again that I found from this lovely lady called Gravity Goldberg, who works on mindsets and positive mindsets. And she talks about stepping back. The teacher needs to step back so that the students can step forward. And I love that saying. I've often said at teacher training sessions, seminars, courses, please, teachers, when they're doing a performance or presenting something, please get off the stage. Go away. Go and stand in the wings, behind the curtains, so that they can come forward. But what we usually do as teachers, we're like a helicopter, and that's why I love this little picture of a helicopter hovering, or a hovercraft hovering around the student, very close to the student who's speaking. And we're there just to make sure the speaking is going well, that they're not stopping, they're not making a mistake, they're not having an accident. But if we just leave them alone, we let them make their mistakes, and we get off the stage and step back, they will find more of a motivation, and intrinsic, inborn motivation to learn, rather than if we're there all the time. We're like very protective parents. Oh, don't say that. Don't do this. Don't move around so much, etc. But let's try and be quiet, because we are developing a skill. Now, let's face it, we're not teaching geography, we're not teaching mathematics, we're not teaching history or anything like that. We are developing a skill like driving. So, just like a teacher or a trainer who's training someone to learn how to drive, we have to give the steering wheel to the student. The student has to do the driving. It's okay. We are there just as a guide. We can show them and step back and let them do it. So they have to do the work. All we can do is prepare by giving them the tools, the information, the vocabulary, the structures that they need in order to speak before they start speaking. So that's what that slide is all about. Now, I hope you will forgive me for this. It's a little bit tongue-in-cheek. This is something that you might have encountered before. I love this cartoon. So the teacher says, "Do you like football?" And the student said, "Yes." So he says, "Uzun cevap ver." And so the student says, "Yes." I love that. But joking aside, for 1 minute, we usually say, try and make your answers long answers, full sentence. Well, why do we do that? I wonder why we do. Do you have any idea? I'm trying to follow some of your exclamations here, or some of your ideas. I can't really write back, but I'm trying to follow what you're thinking. Why do we say give full answers? Because I think that's when we want to know that your grammar is perfect. We're really more worried about grammar than speaking. Okay, again, this is quite a funny little excerpt, but it's a real sounding excerpt. Here is an English lesson, an extract taken from an English lesson in a Turkish classroom. And this is something that I actually witnessed myself when I was teacher training. One of the teachers did something like this. Now, does this sound familiar to you? T is the teacher in blue, and S is the student. So the teacher says in the lesson, by the way, the teacher has just taught, have you ever? Which is something that we do at primary, right? Have you ever? Okay. So now we've taught have you ever, and now they're going to do little speaking practice or production activity. So the teacher says, I'm going to ask you some questions. I want you to give me some answers. Have you ever climbed a mountain, Mehmet? And Mehmet says, no. And the teacher says, no, I haven't. No, I haven't. Teacher says, have you ever seen a famous person, Eileen? And Eileen says, yes. And the teacher says, yes, what? Yes, I have. Yes, I have. Have you ever knitted a sweater, Ayhan? No, I haven't. No, I haven't. Have you ever won a prize, Elif? Yes, I have. Good. Now, does this sound familiar? Would you write your remarks, your reactions to this on the in the chat box for me? So, if this is a familiar lesson, it's because we're focusing on grammar. Does this sound like an authentic, fluent speaking extract to you? I mean, would this happen in real life? I don't think so. So what if he answers with a short answer? Have you ever climbed a mountain? No. Okay, that's fine. Have you ever seen a famous person? Yes. Guess what? Yes, I have. We don't have to say that. Okay. All right. So let's carry on. I think I've made that point. But what happens when they do make mistakes? And they will make mistakes, and that's fine. Um, just like in this, when the kid says, I can't do this, perhaps you could ask them a question if they make a mistake like this. The important thing is when you start criticizing a student speaking, especially if they're a young learner, they're going to go into one of two modes, and one of those is fight, and they're going to say that teacher is mean, that teacher doesn't like me, that teacher doesn't say well done, or they're going to go into regression, and they're going to be quite depressed, and they're not going to want to speak anymore. So fight or flight. So instead of getting them to react in this way, perhaps we could say, I wonder, would you like me to give you some feedback on your speaking? Would you like some information on the way that you spoke? So what you're doing is you're asking for permission first, so that you're giving the child, students, the control. If they don't want feedback, don't give it to them. But if you say, you want me to give you some feedback, and they say yes, well then they'll be more open and more willing to hear what you say. So let's go back to today's topic. Now, looking at the functions of spoken interaction, we have two major functions. One is, first of all, as a transaction, meaning that we talk to others, we talk to other people in order to negotiate a meaning, to give and take information or ideas. This transaction could be a job interview, it could be shopping, it could be making a decision together about arranging a dinner party, or just chatting. It's giving and taking and exchanging information or ideas with one or more people. That's one way of speaking, transactional interaction. And the other one is informative, when it's one way, when you're giving information, when the person is maybe announcing something, explaining something. That's mainly teachers. Yes, with face-to-face communication, somebody's saying it to me. Yes, and somebody just said tolerating grammar mistakes for fluency. Fair. Thank you. We do tolerate grammar mistakes. That's fine. And we don't want mechanical speaking. Thank you. Even in informative speaking, when it's just one way and the other people that are receiving the information are usually quiet. So it's just not an exchange. Now, how much of each of those do we do in the classroom? Do we do more transactional speaking, or do we do more informative speaking? How much of this do the students do, and how much of this do the students do? Let's look at some communicative speaking activities in the Common European Framework. So again, in the Common European Framework, it says spoken interaction. We're doing free speaking activities. How much of this do we have our students do? Somebody said, Suleiman, I think, said, informative is not my type. Okay, we do have to inform, and sometimes we do have to speak one way. And maybe we can do this more easily online. We can help develop them speak online. Now these here, spoken interaction, are the things we would like them to do for the Common European Framework. Real life communication, debates, games. This is the interaction one. This is the transactional one. And this is the informative one, making a presentation, describing something at length, a long speech. Okay, informative, sometimes we have to be. Yeah, we have to be. That's a fact of life. And they have to be too. Sometimes I have to stand up and make a presentation about something. So maybe while we're in this quarantine, this terrible situation of the lockdown, maybe we can help them more online with the spoken production and the presentations. Let me share with you a few transactional speaking tasks you can do in the classroom one day, inshallah, when we go back to school, we can do in the classroom. After that, I'm going to show you some activities that we can do online to improve our students' speaking skills. By the way, I said inshallah. I think we have some teachers from Pakistan joining us, so I hope you understood that too. Thank you very much. Okay, it's lovely to have such an international audience. Now, transactional speaking task. Here we have a whole class, everyone standing up and asking each other questions. We call this a mingling class, a mingling activity. So what we can do when we go back to school is to have something very simple, just on a slip of paper like this. You can write down 3 things. Okay, my favorite food is, and ask them to complete that. My favorite drink is, and my favorite fruits are. Get them to complete that. When they have completed it, I hope that we have a piece of paper that's crumpled up. We don't worry. We have a piece of paper that is crumpled up. Crumple it up like this. Can you see it? I can't see it. There it is. And then we can actually throw the paper into the middle of the room or into a waste paper bin, a basket, and then everybody can come and pick one out, open it up, and ask each other. There's no names on there, so everybody's asking everybody. So we're going to say, is your favorite food hamburgers? Or is your favorite drink kefir? Somebody's written kefir. And if we do, we can find who that belongs to. Now, we are negotiating. We're finding out some information and talking to everybody. A very easy transactional speaking activity that we can do in the classroom. Another activity that we can do when we get back to our schools one day is to have a line-up activity where we ask everybody to stand up and everybody stands in a line. Now, the line usually goes from A to Z, so it can be alphabetical. So you can say to your students, now, find out which month everybody was born in and stand in the right month. So my month is November. So people would say to me, when were you born? Now we're practicing. When were you born? When were you born? And they will ask everybody, when were you born? When were you born? And they will say, in January, in February, in November. And they will line up in the classroom according to the first letter of the month that they were born in. Or you can ask them to line up numerically. And you can say, okay, how many brothers and sisters do you have? Oh, I've got 5 brothers and sisters. Okay, I've got 2 brothers and sisters. So they can line up. The important thing is they are speaking so that they find out from each other, and everybody is speaking to everybody. They have to speak to find out. It is possible with 42 students. You can do half and half. Somebody said it's impossible. I don't agree with you. I've done it with a lot of students, believe me. You can do 20 and then you can do another 20, or you can take them out into the corridor. But first of all, you have to ask the headmaster or the head teacher, can I take them out into the corridor, please? Make sure there isn't an exam on at the same time. So I see some lovely friends saying hello. I wish I could say hello to you, but I hope I'll see you soon. Now, I need to tell you something at the end of this webinar, which will take about 40 minutes maximum. There's going to be a raffle. So they're going to pick your names from a raffle, and they're going to send you a raffle prize. And that is within 3 hours after the end of the webinar. So go to the ELT page or YouTube. Underneath the YouTube, there's a chat section. They will announce who got the raffle and what they won. Also, before I forget, I'd like to tell you that there will be certificates for everybody who wants a certificate of attendance at the end of this webinar, and you can get your certificate and put it in your professional development portfolio. So what you have to do, though, is you have to send an email. They will send you a form. You have to fill in the form with your name and your email, send it back to them, and EDS will send you a certificate of attendance to your email address. So it's not for everybody, it's only for the people who fill in the form. Okay? I hope you've got that. I will repeat it at the end as well. I hope, if I don't forget. Okay, schoolyard. Oh, Nuran. Oh, it's lovely to see you. Okay, it's lovely, lovely, lovely. Seljan. Oh, my lovely, lovely students. So let's carry on. These were activities that we do in the classroom. Now, what about online? Okay. Oh, before I forget, if you've done so many lineups, you can't find any more information for them to line up according to, you can get them to choose from 6 pictures to be somebody else or more. For example, say choose to be someone else. All right, I've chosen to be number 5 because I'm always hungry. Choose a nationality. So I think he's Italian. Choose a job. I think he's a cook. And an age, 29. And his name is, choose a name. Make up a name. Gianfranco Confetti. How's that? So now you can go back and you can do your lineup activities according to your new identity. Everybody says, what's your name? And I can say, Gianfranco Confetti. So you would stand in the queue beginning with G. Your position would be there. Okay, so you can say, how old are you? Everybody asks each other, how old are you? I'm 29. So you would stand in the queue in the place where you would be 29. And they like doing this. Of course, it's interactive, it's fun, and it's especially good for younger learners. Now, here's an activity I've done millions of times, and I've done for a very long time. You can do this in the classroom without them standing up. I will show you a disappearing dialogue. Now, this is a dialogue I've used many times. And again, it's have you ever? So, have you ever been to Athens? And I would get them to repeat Athens, Athens. From the end, been to Athens, been to Athens. Have you ever been to Athens? Can you repeat it with me? Have you ever been to Athens? Quite fluently. Have you ever been to Athens? Have you ever been to Athens? Yes, I have. Yes, I have. Have you ever been to Athens? Yes, I have. So I would ask you, have you ever been to Athens? Yes, I have. How did you get there? How did you get there? Da 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 da. How did you get there? How did you get there? Okay. So I went by plane. How did you get there? I went by plane. Let's take it from the top. Have you ever been to Athens? How did you get there? Good. Divide the class into half. So, have you ever been to Athens? How did you get there? So you're the orchestra chef and you're dividing the class in half and getting them to do half of the dialogue each. Where did you stay? Where did you stay? Where did you? Did you? And the same happens with how did you? How did you? Did you? Did you? Did you hear that? Did you? Okay, so how did you get there? Where did you stay? How did you get there? Where did you stay? I stayed near the Acropolis. I stayed near the Acropolis. Did you enjoy it? Yes, very much. Now, you can, if this is on the blackboard or a whiteboard or a smartboard, you can start by erasing some of the words. So this is how it goes. Have you ever been to Athens? Yes, I. How, what are you saying? How did you get there? How did you get there? I went by plane. Where did you stay? I stayed near the Acropolis. Did you like it? Yes, very much. Very good. Okay, let's do it again. Now, I've erased some more. Okay. So the first question is, have you ever been to Athens? How did you get there? Where did you stay? Did you like it? Yes, very much. And you can do this so many times. They will enjoy it. I'm sure they will enjoy it. That in the end, the whole dialogue has disappeared. And so the first question, do you remember? Have you ever been to Athens? Yes, I have. How did you get there? We went by plane. Where did you stay? We stayed near the Acropolis. Did you like it? Did you enjoy it? Yes, very much. Now, if they say this again and again and again, they will learn these without thinking about them. It's a fun activity. And one day they will just turn around when they're speaking to a foreigner and say, have you ever been to Turkey before? Without having to think about the grammar. So the more repetition, the better. So we want often, very repetition and fun activities. People are asking about the raffle. Again, raffle will be at the end, at the end of the webinar, and they will announce it within 3 hours of the end of the webinar. And also the certificate, you will be getting a form. You have to fill in the form. You will get the form on your email address, send it back, and they will be giving you a certificate. The link for the form also will be in the chat box underneath the YouTube section for chat. Okay. Yes, good. I hope this is something quite useful and easy for you to do. Let's go to online speaking. Now, I've been watching and participating in many webinars about online teaching, and there's not many about speaking. Speaking is one of the most difficult things, in my opinion, to try to develop while we're in this lockdown situation with a computer and not real students in front of you. One thing that we can do, which is quite common, is show and tell. And this is called show and tell at home. So you can ask your students to go, because they are at home, go find something from your room that you really like. Choose something and come back very quickly. And you can give them 1 minute, and you can have a bell that they're listening to. And say, I'm going to ring the bell to say, go now. When I ring the bell again, they can come back. So they can listen to the bell while they're running around looking for something. Well, the picture you see on the right is my little granddaughter, and her name's Mila. And she's 6 years old. She's in kindergarten. She speaks a little English. And I asked her, I didn't prepare her. I didn't give her any vocabulary. I didn't tell her what we would be doing. I said, bring me something from your room that you like. So bring me something from your bedroom that you really like. And now tell me 3 sentences about it. So tell me 3 sentences about something that you really like. And this is, well, she is a girl anyway, isn't she? And this is what she brought me. She brought me some kind of uh, lipstick, lip gloss. That's what it is. It's something like this. And this is what she said. Are you ready to listen? I hope you can hear it.
Hello, and my name is Mila, and I want to show the sentences. And this is my show and tell. It smells so good. My granny take it for me, and that's right. It smells nice, and I always play. Bye bye.
Oh, my darling. Okay. Yes. Now she made mistakes. She said, my grandmother take it for me. What she was trying to say was, my grandmother bought it for me because she loves lipstick. It doesn't matter if they're mistakes. We're going to talk about mistakes. How do we handle mistakes in a minute? So there's a request here that I need to talk about. A lot of people are saying in the chat section that they speak Turkish during the activities. Now that is so true. Now I have just been reading a new article about something called translanguaging. Have you ever heard of this before? Uh, it's called translanguaging in L1 and L2. And apparently, this is what native speaker children do when they're bilingual. They speak in Turkish and in English, or in English and Turkish, all mixed up together. And apparently, this article is saying that that isn't a problem because sometimes they can negotiate the meaning, they can understand better if they talk about it in Turkish first, and then they can say what they need to say after they've understood it in English. So don't worry too much. Okay, we will be there to guide them and help them. Remember the driving instructor? We'll be there to help them. But if they do speak a little Turkish, that's all right, as long as their performance is in English at the end. They're using this technique called translanguaging. All right? Okay, so this was my granddaughter Mila, and I'm so proud of her for doing this, but she made some mistakes. That's fine. She's only young. Of course she's going to make mistakes. So what do? We help her by asking her, do you want to know about your mistakes? And she will say, yes, I know she will. And I will tell her. So you can say, my grandmother bought this for me, rather than say, my grandmother takes it for me. Now, online, we can help our students to develop their speaking by noticing sound. And I'm not saying noticing just through listening, I'm saying noticing by looking. We can look at how sounds look on the mouth, the shape of sounds when we're speaking. Now, for example, I tried to find some speaking shapes of the mouth online, and this is what I found, because we want to make pronunciation visible and more physical. So how can we do this? As I said, I went online and I found www.rachelsenglish.com, and she was actually she was actually mouthing these words or sounds. But I was thinking, in our society, and I find this perfectly reasonable, noticing sounds is very important, but it's quite difficult for a woman especially to say, look at my lips, look at my mouth. I have nice lipstick on for you, but it's not easy for everybody to do that, and that's quite understandable. I do understand it. So how can we say notice my pronunciation? Well, we're very lucky because I'm going to use some examples, especially from Speaking Q, these two books, Speaking Q and Speaking Qs. But this one has lots of examples of sounds, and I'm going to show you what I mean. So this is something that we can use from a book, or this is from book one. And every unit has 5 or 6 special words. For example, what is a sound in Turkish that is quite difficult for Turkish students to say in English? What is an English sound, I should say, that is difficult? Can you imagine? Can you think of one? Think of a sound that is difficult for Turkish speakers to pronounce in English. Well, the typical one is w, w, because we don't have it, obviously, in Turkish. So, w. Let's look at this now. Look at this very carefully.
Weather. Weather.
Very good. You want to look again?
Weather.
The w as in
Weather.
very good. As if you're blowing out a candle on your birthday cake. Weather. Blow your candle. Very good. TH. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for saying TH. The TH sound. Thank you so much. Okay. Let's look at this. Yes, well done. W as well.
Weekend.
Look at the way she purses her lips.
Weekend.
Weekend. Weekend. Yeah, very good. So you can actually raise the students' awareness with this wonderful contraption. I think this is wonderful. So this is from Speaking Q. Another problem.
Third.
Yes, there we go.
Third.
Third. Okay. Now this is how I used to teach it many years ago in the classroom. I would put a piece of paper to my mouth and I would say, when you say anything with th in it, you have to wet a piece of paper with your tongue. Third. Third. And I would look to see if the paper was wet. Of course, I've got lipstick marks on it. Okay, but not everybody can do that. And not everybody feels comfortable doing that. So, fine. Here you have actual videos of people saying it. So, say it again.
Third.
Can you see the tongue?
Third.
Very good. So the tongue comes up between the teeth. Okay. Now, this one is another sound that I think Turkish people have problems with in some words.
In front of. In front of.
Yeah. Okay. In front of. Now, my problem
In front of.
is that I've heard...
In front of.
Hajar, hello. I've heard so many people saying this wrong. A lot of people, a lot of students are saying in front of. Oh. Stop. Listen again.
In front of.
Of. And it's
In front of.
again. Oops. Go back.
In front of.
Very good.
In front of.
In front of. And it's one of those sounds that people have problems with all over, like onion rings. When you go to McDonald's and they say, would you like onion? Oh, it drives me crazy. Do you have some sounds, some pronunciation mistakes that drive you crazy? Well, this is my one. When they say, would you like onion? Onion rings. It's onion. And oven instead of oven. of instead of above. Front, yes, Emmett. Thank you. Okay, and of, in front of. Okay. So this is a wonderful book if you have it. But don't worry, if you haven't got it, you can ask somebody to do this for you and video it. Here are some more sounds.
Science. Science.
Now, why do you think I chose that?
Science.
Yes.
Science.
Good. I chose that word and that sound, science, because a lot of students are still saying since or science, and they're mixing up science and since. So perhaps you could have science and since as a distinguishing activity, and you could show them the difference between how it's actually pronounced. 2 syllables, science, and the other one is since, 1 syllable. What about this one?
Favorite.
Aha,
Favorite.
good. Why do you think I chose
Favorite.
this one? Good.
Favorite.
Very good. Okay. Now, why did I choose this one? Because favorite. When you write it down, how many syllables are there in favorite? Favorite. But when we say it, what does it sound like? How many syllables are there?
Favorite.
2 syllables.
Favorite.
Favorite. There's no O. Okay. So this is the kind of awareness raising that you can do even online, and this will help their pronunciation. Let's see if you can do it. How many syllables do you hear? And you can do this online with your students. Do you hear 4 syllables, 3 syllables, or 2 syllables? Are you ready to listen? Are you ready? Here we go. Oop.
Interesting. Interesting.
Okay. So how many syllables did you hear? How many? Good. Of course, it's 3. So it's not interesting. It's interesting. So it's just 2. Not interesting. Okay. So again, interesting. Favorite. Vegetable. That's another one. Have you heard your students say vegetable? Oh my God. Again, we can do lots of these activities online to show them. Now, what have I got here? Let's see. Again, from Speaking Cue.
Delicious.
Aha.
Delicious.
Okay, what I'm asking you here is this. Delicious. How many syllables? 3. Which one is the one with the stress on it? Which is the biggest sound? Delicious. Which one is it? Have you got it? Yes, it's. Let's see if I can do this again. Okay.
Delicious.
Okay, so it's delicious.
Delicious.
Good. Delicious. So it's delicious. Da-da. Da-da. So these are schwa sounds, and this one is the stress sound. So how about the stress? Which syllable of this word is stress? So we're listening now for word stress, okay?
Introduce. Introduce.
Right? Okay, so the stressed syllable is introduce. The third one. Introduce. Okay? So the third syllable. Introduce. Da-da-da. Da-da-da. Introduce. And of course, the children will call me crazy, but I don't mind. I've always been crazy. But we will, in fact, have lots and lots of these activities online. Here's something that we can do for younger learners, even first grades. My little Mila did this with me a few minutes ago, and she loved it. I have two pictures for first grades, second grades. What animal is this? And both of them have two syllables. All right, two syllables. So is the stressed syllable the first one, ada, or is it da? So what about A? Is it ada or is it da? So let's look at A. If you said ada, you would be right. And B, what is the sound? Which syllable is stressed? Is it the first syllable, ada, or is it da? And yes, you would be right if you said da, giraffe, giraffe. Or if you're American, you might say giraffe. Doesn't matter to me whether you have an American or a British accent. It really doesn't matter as long as you are clear and I can understand and we can understand what you're saying. How about this one? This is a duck. Okay, and this is a row. They both have two syllables. The one on the left, is it dada or da? And if you said dada, you would be right. Dada. And if you said for this one, again, it's dada. Tiger. And this one, A, is chicken. Chicken. All right. Good. And one more. Ah. So 3 syllables. So which one is stressed? Of the 3 syllables for that one, which one is stressed? Okay. And this one is a 3-syllable animal. Again, which one is stressed? 1, 2, or 3? For A, it's this one. Gorilla. Gorilla. Yeah, so some people, again, it's a false friend from Turkish because in Turkish it's goril. Goril. And it's the first syllable. But in English, it's gorilla. So it's the second syllable, the middle one. And what about the grey big animal B? What is B? Which syllable is stressed in B? Is it E, or is it L, or is it N? Okay, shall we have a look? So if you said elephant, that's right. You would be right. Elephant and gorilla. Another word that is often mixed up because of the word stress is Italy. Italy. Because in Turkish it's Italia. So what happens is we say Italy, and that's completely wrong. It would have to be Italy. The first syllable would be stressed. The same goes for Japan, the ga, or Brazil, the ga, Brazil. Okay. And now this is one of my favorite activities ever. Right, I don't know if you know this one. The book is there that I took it from. It's a very old book, 1994, Sarah Phillips, one of my wonderful, wonderful queens of young learner teachers. And this is a rhyme. And of course, songs and rhymes are so good for pronunciation and developing speaking. Okay, so let's do this rhyme together. It's da, da, da. It sounds like da, 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 da. Have you ever watched Jaws, the film, the music? Da, 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 da. So this is da, 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 da. Now let's see what this is. Coffee, coffee. Can we say it together? Coffee, coffee. Milk. Is the schwa. It's not and. We haven't got time to say and. We haven't got time to open our mouths. Milk and sugar. Milk and sugar. Can you say milk and sugar? Milk and sugar. Milk and sugar. And the next one is strawberries. Oh my God, what happened here? So the spelling is strawberries, but how many syllables do we hear? We only hear 2 syllables. Strawberries. There's no strawberries. Strawberries and cream. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Strawberries and cream. Strawberries and cream. So it goes coffee. Coffee. Milk and sugar. Milk and sugar. Strawberries and cream. Strawberries and cream. All right. The next one is chocolate. We have the same thing here. It's not chocolate. It's chocolate. 2 syllables. Chocolate. Chocolate. Chocolate cake and chocolate biscuits. Chocolate cake and chocolate biscuits. Let's say it together. Chocolate cake and chocolate biscuits. Chocolate cake and chocolate biscuits. Very good. And then we have my favourite. Oh, fish and chips. Fish and chips. Fish and chips. And the last thing is soup. Now, let's see if we can play a game as if we are a train and we're the motor, the engine, the locomotive of the train. So we'll start quite slowly with coffee, and then by the end we'll get faster and faster. So shall we do it together, please? All right, ready? We're young learners, teachers. This is what we do. All right, right. 1, 2, 3. Coffee, coffee. Milk and sugar. Strawberries and cream. Chocolate cake and chocolate biscuits. Chocolate cake and chocolate biscuits. Fish and chips. Soup. And they love it. I love it too. And it's very good for training and raising awareness. Now, we need to model. We need to show them what they have to do. Again, you can model how to speak, make a presentation. You can guide them. You can ask somebody to actually show how to make a little presentation using introduction, a body, and an ending. If you don't have this is from, again, this book called Speaking Cue. We already have these models, but if you don't worry, you can use more fluent students as models. You can use someone who's been abroad. Sometimes we have someone like that in our classes, someone who's lived abroad and speaks English well, or someone from a higher grade who speaks much better. You can ask them to come and model it. This is from, again, the book. Listen to his introduction.
Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you. Let me introduce myself. My name is Micah Dye. I'm from America. My favorite food is pasta. My favorite sport is basketball. And I like dogs. They're my favorite animal. Thank you for listening.
Very good. I love that because it shows, let me introduce myself. Let me introduce myself. Now, you don't have to teach this grammatically. You can just ask them to remember it and say it. Let me introduce myself. Beautiful. There's a little bit of information in the body and then there's an ending. So thank you for listening. Very nice ending. Wouldn't it be nice if your students could do this? Here is an activity from the other book that I was mentioning called Speaking Juice. And both of these are YDS, YDS Publishing, obviously. But here's a lovely example of how to prepare students and help them with their pronunciation, even online. So first of all, this is the daily routine of an astronaut. and they listen to an astronaut talking about his daily routine, and they have questions and answers. What time does he chat online? What time does he study in the lab? And when does he go swimming in space? This is quite normal. You'd find it in any book. But this is the bit that I love. So look at those, again, word stresses. Between, not between, but between, until I wake up at 7 o'clock. So again, we have word stress and we have sentence stress. And let's be honest, during the normal routine of our teaching, during a normal term, we don't have much time to work on pronunciation. Let's take this opportunity to work on our pronunciation online. And here, again, from the same unit, when you're giving a speech about your schedule, you need to say your introduction, what type of schedule it is, the body, 3 pieces of information, and the closing or the ending, how you feel about your schedule. So they're preparing students for an oral presentation that they can talk about their daily school schedule on a school day or at the weekend or during their vacation. Or what about this? If you're teaching online now, you can give them the preparation work that they need to do, and then they can talk about their daily schedule on a lockdown day, on one of these 4 days that we're not able to go out. So why don't they talk about their daily schedules? And then you can perhaps record them. Now, do you know this young lady? There's a unit in Unit 2, in Book 2, sorry. There's a unit called The Past Me and Present Me. And this is the past me. Some people might still remember me like this. Well, I'm afraid I don't look like that anymore, as you can see. Maybe the hair's quite similar. I don't know. But you can do something like this with your students. You can ask them to bring in a picture of themselves when they were babies or toddlers or very, very young children, and a picture of themselves now. And then we can practice. There's lots of practice activities, but I'm not going to talk about the book. I'm going to talk about what you can do. You can have them practice the sentences. I used to have short hair, but now I have long hair. Or let's say, I used to be young, but now I'm not so young. I'm older. Or I used to be slim. Now I'm not slim anymore. And you can get your students to do this and present it to you online. And all the others can ask questions as well. And this is part of the application of the book, which I've fallen in love with. And it says now you can listen and record your answers. So if you don't have an application like this with role plays and ways that you can record yourself, you can always do it on WhatsApp and send those recordings to your teacher. It's a nice personal touch. The teacher can actually listen to you and send you a little message. That would be so nice. If your class is too crowded, of course you can't do that. Don't worry. Okay, so what are the changes? Where did you used to live when you were 5 years old? What did you look like? And what habit did you have in the past? And all you have to do is record it and send it to your teacher. But as I said, if you don't have this book, you can use your telephone. That's it, I'm afraid. So, what did she say? What am I saying? Did you get it? Okay, I said, thank you very much for listening. I've enjoyed myself. Again, I love talking. My email address, if you want it, is pggaslan, 3Gs and Aslan, all small case, at gmail.com. And just a final reminder, raffle at the end of this webinar now, and it will be announced in 3 hours. And certificates, link will be written underneath the YouTube site. So look out for the link, find the form, fill in the form, and send it back to YDS Publishing. You will get a certificate that you can put in your professional development portfolio. Thank you for listening to me. Hope I haven't given you a headache. Good luck with the rest of this terrible lockdown. Good luck with your teaching. Believe me, I love you all. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.